Hello there. Heartbreaks in the romantic relationships or any psychosocial relationships that we play. I am in the opinion that, or the belief as well, that having heartbreaks and the post effect of that heartbreak that an individual go into, where he just stop his interaction with the social world and find it more convenient and comfortable to be with himself for some time. That very space of being with oneself is so magical and so illuminating that it can lead to that person transform into someone absolutely opposite of who the person was when he entered into that space of being with himself, as an outcome of the disheartenment that he have experienced from any psychosocial relationship. I have personally been into a zone where I have got myself into a socially isolated zone, but not because of the refusal of any projection of my expectation from other people. It has not been as an outcome of that, but to be into that isolated zone, to be with myself more than to be aggravated and to take revenge from an act of refusal from by someone else. It has not been because of that. But what I have experienced by being into that zone of being myself, that it is such a illuminating and such a insightful space where you are not caught up with your cognitive, emotional awareness on somebody else. When someone is with themselves only, being in this spatial world that they are living in, the spatial as in physical space that they are walking, doing or engaging into activities all by themselves only, being with themselves creates an ample of time and directs all that attention and awareness upon oneself, which sort of is missing when an individual is surrounded by a group of people, as he would have to engage with them at that moment, and engagement with other will require the attention to be upon someone else or the rest of the people, which is not a bad thing. But what is bad thing is that it takes away the possible opportunity from him to direct all that attention that he's putting upon other people, which he could have put upon himself to know his psychosystem better. This psychosystem, the psychological system that we hold inside, where so many psychological constructs lies, means the beliefs we hold about any phenomena and the perception that we have towards navigating the outer events, and the attitude that we have towards a specific thing, and the behavior that we exhibit, the way that we exhibit it, all those are so complex that it needs to be understood through constant act of review, which is sort of missing if we are surrounded by these regular course of action amongst the herd and the masses that we have surrounded ourselves with. So the point that we were trying to make, that once someone get their heart break up, and as an effect of that, when he gets into that zone where he does not feel like interacting with fellow human beings, at least for some time, until some other psychosystem just shows up into their life and change their perception towards how they perceive humans to be. So that being in that zone is so necessity for him to be in, as much as it is necessary for him to breathe. So what I think, if there is anything that exists, being it God, being it higher self of or higher self or his future self, and if that simultaneously exists, if so it if and also it if it has the capacity to intervene into our reality to give us what we are looking for or what we deserve to have, then what I think is that going through all these psychological heartbreaks, of course these are psychological only because it just happens inside our head only, so those seems like a well planned move by them as well, like higher self, god, or any whatever potential beings that could exist, who are well wishers in disguise, who wants us as a creature or as species or an entity to become a certain version. So if they know that this space of being with ourselves is so requisite that it is something which is the only thing that can transform us to become who we are supposed to be, and we are not isolating ourselves from these noises of masses that we surround ourselves most of the time, then having the possibility that if they have any possible intervention into our existence, then why do you think that they would not deliberately introduce some creature into our life which will shake up our entire perception that we hold towards someone else, to give us something that we expect from them to give, and shaking it up so that we can get a reality check from the illusions that we have been seeding and watering, and get ourselves out of that space of noises of people into a space where we actually belongs, where we get to hear to the internal voice that exists, the voice in our head, the voices of the mental construct that exist, the inner dialogue, the complex ocean of relationships, constructs that exist, the patterns that lies there, unresolved, untapped, unmatched, which are waiting for us to put our attention upon. And we as a psychosocial being have got lost into this physical world, surrounding ourselves with all sorts of potential pleasure that we derive from other people, and ignoring the need of understanding the chaos that lies down inside and getting piled up, waiting to be getting our attention upon, and waiting to be understood, and leading us to become a version that we are supposed to. So if we will not deliberately disassociate ourselves from other people, not disassociating but finding ourselves some time to self-reflect, then if there is any force or anything that exists in the laws of the nature, it would definitely intervene. It would have no choice but to intervene, to give us a reality check from the illusions of confirmation that we have developed, that our expectations will be reciprocated by the social world. So we should understand this fact, even if we are not doing this deliberately, that we are so immersed into these social relationships that we forgets to get our attention upon ourselves by extracting some time from the time that we have given and distributed into any other, like whichever potential beings that we have assigned these to. Then if by any chance the nature will play its role and do something that will wakes up to the reality by breaking our own perception and bringing us back to ourselves, where we are being with ourselves, reflecting upon our own mental beings. So we should take that at least as an act of favor rather than going into act of self-pity. It's a favor. Sooner or later, directly by ourselves or through any other human being, the only space that where we belong is with ourselves. At least a good amount of time with ourselves where we have to reflect, to understand, resolve the piled up junk that is getting up inside our head, waiting to be resolved, which will eventually turn this creature into someone that we truly deserve to be. So we should not take these heartbreaks, these disheartened course of event, or any perceived construct that we think is for our for our uh, for our for our whatever, for our possible harm, is not actually for our harm but for the greater good that we face to see. Yeah, goodbye.